Hey everyone! So today we are going to tackle one of the most talked about and honestly one of the most confusing topics in finance, cryptocurrency. Our goal here is simple, to cut through all the noise and give you a plain language breakdown. Ready? Let's dive in. Right? You hear these words everywhere. Bitcoin, blockchain, crypto. It kind of sounds like a whole different language. But don't worry. We're going to strip away all that jargon and get to what this stuff actually is and why it even exists in the first place. Okay, so to really wrap our heads around this, we've got to start at the very beginning. First, what problem was this technology even designed to solve? And second, what is it at its most basic level? And this right here, this visual nails the fundamental difference. Think about how you send money now. You usually have to go through a middleman, right? A bank. And that can mean delays, it can mean fees, all sorts of bottlenecks. The whole idea behind crypto was to cut out that middleman and create a direct, peer-to-peer way to send value, straight from me to you. So what is it? Well, let's just break the word down. Crypto comes from cryptography, which is all about security, making something unhackable. And currency is, just money. So cryptocurrency is basically secure digital money. It's not a coin you can hold in your hand. It was literally built from the ground up to live and breathe online. I love this analogy because it makes so much sense. Sending a physical letter through the mail works, sure, but it takes time, it has to cross borders, it can get lost. An email, on the other hand, it's pretty much instant no matter where you are in the world. That's the kind of leap in efficiency that cryptocurrency is aiming for. Okay, so if crypto is the car, what's the engine that powers the whole thing? That would be the blockchain. This is the absolute core technology that makes all of this possible, so let's take a look. At its heart, a blockchain is just a digital record book, like a ledger. But here's the magic trick. Instead of one bank or one company controlling that book, it's copied and shared across thousands of computers all over the world. Because it's so spread out, it's public, it's transparent, and it becomes incredibly difficult for anyone to cheat the system or tamper with the records. So how does this chain actually get built? Well, it's kind of like a three-step dance. First, a whole bunch of transactions get bundled together into what's called a block. Then, that block is given a unique, unbreakable digital fingerprint, a hash. And here's the really clever part. The next block in the chain doesn't just contain its own hash, it also contains the hash of the block before it. That's what creates the secure, unbreakable chain. If you try to change one tiny detail on an old block, you break the fingerprint, and the whole chain falls apart. And this is such a cool little piece of history. The anonymous creator of Bitcoin embedded this exact newspaper headline into the very first block ever created, the Genesis block. This was back in 2009, right in the chaos of the global financial crisis. It's widely seen as a statement, a kind of mission statement, really, about why a new financial system, one independent of the big banks, was needed. Okay, so we've got the theory down, but let's get real. This tech comes with some incredible promise, but also some very serious peril. You can't talk about one without the other. So let's look at both sides of that coin. A really great way to understand the crypto world is to realize that not all these coins are trying to do the same thing. This vehicle analogy is perfect for that. Think of Bitcoin like a big, sturdy truck. It's mostly seen as a store of value, like digital gold. Ethereum is more like a multi-purpose machine, a platform that can run all sorts of apps. Stablecoins, they're the reliable city bus with a fixed price designed to stay pegged to something like the US dollar. And then you have thousands of altcoins, all specialized vehicles built for very specific jobs. And this really gets to the heart of the matter. It's this constant tug of war between the benefits and the risks. On the one hand, you've got the amazing promise of instant global transactions, potentially lower fees, and bringing financial services to people who don't have banks. But on the other hand, you've got wild, stomach-churning price swings, governments that can't decide on the rules, and a ton of scams that can lead to major, major losses. It is absolutely a high-stakes world. And speaking of risks, we have to talk about scams because they are everywhere in this space. You have to be super careful. Anything promising to double your money is a huge red flag. Same with those fake giveaways you see online. You'll see phishing sites that look exactly like the real thing, designed to steal your password. The golden rule, and it's never been more true than here, is if it sounds way too good to be true, it is. It absolutely is. All right, so what's the big picture here? Is this whole crypto thing just a niche hobby for tech geeks, or is it actually starting to reshape our financial world? Let's look at what's happening on a global scale. Just look at this number for a second. Over 130. That's how many countries are already looking into or even testing out their own official digital currencies. We're talking about governments and central banks here. This isn't just a small group of idealists anymore. The core concepts of digital money are being taken very, very seriously at the highest levels of finance and government. So, is crypto going to completely replace the dollar or the euro? Well, probably not. The much more likely future that many experts point to is a kind of hybrid system, a world where you'll still have physical cash, you'll still use your normal bank account, but you'll also have these new government-backed digital currencies and privately created cryptocurrencies all coexisting and serving different purposes. And that brings us to what might be the single most important takeaway from all of this. Whether you decide to ever buy a single cent of crypto or not, that almost doesn't matter. What matters is understanding this massive digital shift that's happening in our economy. Because going forward, being digitally literate is going to be just as vital as being financially literate. So we're left with this massive question. Is what we're seeing the very beginning of the next chapter in the long history of money? A true evolution? Or is it a fascinating but ultimately very risky and volatile detour? Right now, nobody knows for sure. That chapter is still being written.